bad. My heritage as a Fulani person is lots of cattle, like the Karamojang in Uganda, like the Maasai in Kenya, and our cattle is a very, very strong part of our heritage. So Fulani people value their cows, but Fulani people hold their culture very tightly together as well, with a rich culture that is still not even explored yet. The message of the Cowfoot prince is that if you want to become successful, there's only one thing you need to do: be yourself.
She was so beautiful, her eyes were like twinkle, twinkle little stars. Oh, her eyes, the stars look like they're not shining. Her hair falls perfectly without her trying. She's so beautiful.
There are different elements that makes a good story. One of the very first thing is to know your own story. You cannot be a storyteller if you do not know your own story. It took me a good 4 or 5 years to discover this, to realize this, that I need to know my own story. Who am I? Who am I? Who is the Cowfoot prince? Who's Usifu Jalloh? When I realized and accepted that I am a storyteller, I am an educator, I am a motivator, I am an architect for social change and cultural awakening, I became the storyteller that I am right now. The shortest story I think I know is this. It's again, is Mr. Rabbit came over to Tortoise. He says, Tortoise, let's go run a race. Let's see who will get home first. And Tortoise said, all right, no problem, let's go, let's run a race. Rabbit said, I'm gonna thrash you today, let's go. And they stood there. Onto your mat, set, let's go. Rabbit jumped running ahead. Tortoise went in his shell. End of story. There's 3 purposes I have as a storyteller. Number 1 is to get my audience to listen. Number 2 is to get them to remember what they have listened. And number 3 is to get them to act upon what they have listened to. This is the great thing with African stories. They are organic. In fact, the African society is organic. The African society is like a water that just flows and meanders until it finds its way and its destination, and it keeps flowing and it becomes everything. And that's reflected in our stories, and our stories reflect that too. So as a storyteller, I let my stories embrace the society, the culture within which it finds itself, without it losing its African aesthetics. Because that's a very important essence in African storytelling, and also in good storytelling. Your story becomes contemporary, your story becomes relevant to the circumstance within which it finds itself.
She took another fresh loaf of bread, sliced it nicely open, and inside she put some lovely sausages. She put some lovely chicken. What? McDonald's. What? And she wrapped it nicely with some bread and butter pudding.
A story is like a mirror. You know, you look at yourself in there, in one character or the other, and ask yourself, do you like it? You don't like it? What are you going to do about it? When I do stories for the president of my country and the ministers, I do stories on responsibility and collective responsibility. There are stories for every single issue or subject matter that you might wish to address. I have them all in my arsenal, and I pick and choose them to meet the necessary occasion.
When the sun looks at your skin, after you've rubbed the sun cream lotion, what the sun now sees is black. So in effect, after you rub your sun cream lotion, whenever you rub it, you are in effect becoming a black girl or a black boy, a black woman or a black man. That color protects you, that black color.
Thankfully now in Sierra Leone, people are beginning to embrace storytelling. So I think that the war, the kind of politics we play, the educational paradigm, and just basically life just got at people, and such important value as stories started dying now. But now I've been going back over the past 5 years, and when I do the storytelling that I do here and I get it filmed, I take it over there and they show it on national television, and that is now inspiring university students to want to do storytelling. It's inspiring more and more people. But on top of that, I've just done a year's radio storytelling program in addressing health issues that address stuff just after the Ebola in Sierra Leone. And for a whole year, I did storytelling on health matters, teenage pregnancies, numeracy and literacy. All this stuff I covered with storytelling. And it was very popular in the remote villages in the eastern province of Sierra Leone. That's where this was all aired. So now I'm going back, and BBC World Service went and covered the whole program and aired it on BBC World Service. So it is doing tremendous amounts of work. I think for me, if there's anything I would like people to know, it's only one question. What's your story? What's your story?